The gift basket arrived at 7:06 a.m., which is a ridiculous time to send fruit and threats. I was in my hotel suite reviewing the final valuation model for Breakwater Fabrication Group when the concierge rolled in a wicker tower wrapped in navy ribbon. On top sat a rubber shark wearing a tiny crown. A card was clipped to the handle. "Welcome to the tank, sweetheart. Bring coffee to the boardroom at 9. Signed, Nash Breakwater. My name is Dana Cross. I run Sterling Gate Partners. I do not fetch coffee for anyone, least of all an heir who thinks a trust fund is a personality." At 8:55 I walked into the executive floor boardroom anyway, because traps are easiest to disarm from inside. The room was all harbor views and cold air meant to preserve old money. At the head of the table sat Martin Breakwater, founder, patriarch, and a man who could cut you in half without raising his voice. To his right was Nash Breakwater, Chief Disruption Officer, a title that means his father loved him too much to let him fail in public. Nash wore a suit that probably cost more than my first apartment, but fit him like a costume borrowed in a panic. He was smirking, waiting for me to arrive with caffeine and surrender. My attorney Lena Park sat beside me, tablet ready, eyes bright with legal mischief. "Thank you for meeting, Martin," I began. "Sterling Gate is prepared to acquire a controlling stake at a valuation that reflects your strength in marine pumps and industrial valves." Nash lifted a hand without looking up from his phone. "Coffee." The word hit the table. A few board members stared at their folders like paper could rescue them. Martin did not move, which told me Nash had practiced disrespect the way other people practice golf. I stopped speaking. Silence is a tool. It presses harder than shouting. Martin looked up. "Dana, is there an issue with the terms?" "No," I said. "I am waiting for the room to decide whether it wants to negotiate or babysit." Nash finally looked at me. His smile was polished and empty. "You heard me. Coffee. Now. We are paying fees, right? Make yourself useful." I leaned forward, calm. "Nash, I think you have confused me with someone who needs your approval. I am the person who can keep this company out of the hands of people who will gut it for parts." Nash opened his mouth. Martin stood up so fast the chair legs barked against the floor. He crossed the space and slapped Nash across the face, clean and final. The room froze. Nash stared at his father, cheek reddening, eyes wet with shock. "Apologize," Martin said, voice low. "Apologize now." "Dad, you hit me," Nash whispered. "I will do worse," Martin said. "Apologize, or you will be removed from every position you have." Nash turned to me. Hatred replaced surprise. "I am sorry," he muttered, staring at my collarbone instead of my eyes. "Louder," I said, checking my watch. "My time is billed in 6-minute intervals." "I am sorry, Dana Cross," Nash said, voice trembling with rage. "Thank you," I replied, and resumed my presentation as if nothing had happened. But everything had happened. Nash had shown me the crack in the breakwater foundation, and I knew exactly where to place the crowbar. 10 minutes after the slap, Nash could not handle consequences. He shoved his chair back and stormed out, but the boardroom doors had hydraulic closers, so his dramatic exit became a slow, embarrassed shuffle. The room stayed silent until he was gone. Martin sank into his seat. "Dana," he said, "I apologize. That behavior is not our culture." "It is his culture," I said, "and your company keeps giving him a microphone." "He is my son," Martin replied, as if biology was a business plan. I closed my folder. "We are done for today. I need to reassess the structure." Martin's eyes widened. "Reassess?" "Dana, we have a handshake." "We had a handshake when I believed I was buying a disciplined manufacturer," I replied. "Now I see I might be buying an adult day camp. I will be in touch." In the car, my attorney Lena Park slid her tablet toward me. "You saw the vein in Martin's neck," she said. "I thought he might combust into the term sheet." "Focus, Lena," I said. Nash will try to sabotage this deal. He cannot, Lena replied. Martin controls the voting majority. He does not need votes to create chaos, I said. He needs attention. I want a map of his attention. Who he calls, where he drinks, and which rivals he follows. Lena tapped, smile sharp. He runs a podcast. Of course he does, I said. Deep dive everything. By the time we reached the hotel, Lena had the first thread. Nash had been messaging a rival bidder called Ironcrest Capital. Their acquisitions chief Dane Mercer was a scavenger in a nice watch, the kind who bought companies by starving them. Nash is shopping your offer to inflate himself, Lena said. He wants to wave a competing term sheet at his father, I said. He wants a victory speech, not a stable company. I opened my laptop and pulled up breakwater dependency risks. Their factory relied on 3 choke points: Harborline bearings, Tidemark controllers, and the CoastSafe compliance stamp. Without that stamp, half their shipments would stop. Nash thinks the deal happens in the boardroom, I said. That is why he is dangerous. Lena leaned closer. What is the play? We let him believe he is steering, I said. Then we make his steering wheel come off in his hands. Lena hesitated. You mean suppliers? Not yet, I said. First we make Martin stop protecting him. Lena found what I needed before midnight. Nash had registered a shell firm called New Wave Systems Advisory and routed internal maintenance invoices to it. The invoices looked professional, but the work orders referenced machines scrapped years ago. It was not just arrogance, it was theft. How much? Lena asked. Enough, I said. Enough for Martin to choose the company over his son. I sent one instruction: leak a rumor by morning. Something vague. Sterling Gate might pause. Not a threat, just uncertainty. Lena nodded. You want him to panic. I want him confident, I corrected. Confidence makes people careless. Outside my window, the harbor lights flickered like warning signals. Nash had asked for coffee. Instead, he had handed me leverage with a ribbon on top. 3 days later, we reconvened, and the mood smelled like sleepless money. Martin looked hollow. Nash looked energized, which in his case meant dangerous. He wore a new suit in a glossy cobalt color that should not exist indoors and carried a stack of papers like a child playing lawyer. Good morning, everyone, Nash announced. Dad is stepping back today. I will lead the negotiation. Martin stared at his hands and did not contradict him. Proceed, Nash, I said, opening my notebook. He paced. We reviewed your term sheet. The valuation is outdated. Breakwater retains 40% of the patent rights through a spin-off that I will run. We also want a 15% increase in cash at close. A spin-off, I repeated. And what will it do? It will disrupt maritime supply chains with predictive AI routing, Nash said, tossing buzzwords like confetti. Subscription model, global scale. And if we decline, Nash continued, there are other suitors, more forward-thinking suitors. Iron Crest, I thought, smiling without warmth. I nodded as if considering. Those are significant changes. We will take them to our investment committee. You will have a response by Friday. Nash beamed at Martin like a student waiting for praise. Martin looked like a man watching a storm approach his house. Nash thought the deal happened in that boardroom. He was wrong. The deal happened in quiet corners where directors admitted what they could not say in front of family. That afternoon I met Helen Rourke, chair of the audit committee. Nash wants to carve out patent rights, I told her. Those patents secure your debt covenants. Helen stiffened. He cannot touch them. He is also flirting with a rival bidder, I added. Not for value, for ego. By Thursday, enough directors had quietly agreed to block any structure that handed Nash a personal slice of the company. I had the votes. What I needed was timing. Friday morning, the rumor hit the market. Sterling Gate may cool on breakwater talks. Vague and deniable. Nash interpreted it as victory. At 3 p.m., he hosted a rooftop party and went live on social media. Champagne, harbor skyline, and a caption that read, Dinosaurs fear meteors. New era loading. He leaned into the camera, half drunk, and shouted about real partnerships. Then he swung the phone and revealed Dane Mercer from Ironcrest, standing beside him, smiling like a man caught stealing. Lena captured the clip, time-stamped and notarized. It was not just embarrassing. It was a breach of the exclusivity clause in our letter of intent. Nash had just tossed a legal grenade into his own pocket. While he performed, I made 3 calls. To Harborline Bearings, I secured exclusive output for 5 years. To Tidemark controllers, I did the same. Then I called Coast Safe Certification Labs and bought the next 12 months of testing slots across their region. Those contracts did not hurt anyone innocent. They guaranteed volume, raised pay rates, and stabilized the suppliers. But they also meant Breakwater could not source bearings, controllers, or certification without me. By sundown, Nash still had a factory. He just no longer had the pipes, the wiring, or the stamp needed to ship product. He did not know it yet, but he had just toasted his own leverage. That evening I met Martin Breakwater at a restaurant called Lantern Room, the kind of place where the lighting hides both faces and prices. Martin arrived early and looked older than he had in the boardroom. "Dana," he said, "thank you for coming. The rumor about you walking away has the market nervous." "Good," I said, ordering sparkling water. "Fear makes people honest." "Nash believes he forced your hand," Martin said. "He is celebrating." "I saw," I replied. The rooftop video was enthusiastic. Martin's eyes tightened. "You saw that?" "I saw enough," I said. "And I saw more in the invoices." He froze. "Invoices." "My team found maintenance payments routed to a shell firm called New Wave Systems Advisory," I said. "Machines billed for repairs that were scrapped years ago. Money leaving your company and circling back to Nash." Martin went pale. "How much?" "Just over 3 million across 4 years," I said. "Enough to interest prosecutors. Enough to stain the Breakwater name." He set his glass down carefully. "He is my son," Martin whispered. "I know," I said. "That is why I have not handed this to enforcement. Yet." Martin looked up, dread sharpening into focus. "What do you want?" "I want Breakwater on the original structure," I said. "No patent carve-out, no Ironcrest, and no Nash in any role that touches strategy, finance, or vendors." "He will fight," Martin said. "He thinks he has Ironcrest lined up." "Ironcrest is lining him up," I replied. "They are using him for leverage and trade details." Martin swallowed. "Nash scheduled a press event for Monday. He wants to announce a new direction." "Let him," I said. Martin's jaw worked. "Let him embarrass us. Let him expose himself," I corrected. "Then you take the microphone and end it." Monday morning, the press event filled the Breakwater atrium with blue lights and nervous employees. I watched the live stream from my office with Lena beside me. Nash walked on stage in a black turtleneck, as if imitation could replace competence. "We are launching HarborCoin," Nash announced, pacing. "A certification-backed logistics token. We are partnering with Ironcrest to share our patent portfolio." On my second monitor, I opened 3 contracts: Harborline Bearings, Tidemark Controllers, Coast Safe Labs. I made 3 calls: trigger the breach clause, suspend shipments, hold certification. Done, done, done. A reporter stood. "Without Coast Safe, how will you ship to federal port clients?" Nash blinked. "We will innovate around it." "Pumps still need certification," the reporter said, bored. Then Martin walked onto the stage in his charcoal suit and took the microphone from Nash without a struggle. "Ladies and gentlemen," Martin said, "my son is mistaken. There is no HarborCoin, there is no partnership with Ironcrest, and as of this morning, there is no chief disruption officer." Security moved in. Nash shouted, demanding to know where I was, but the camera caught only his face and the truth on it. I took a sip of water. The first phase was done. Now the price would change. 2 days later, Martin asked to meet again at an old private club, with leather chairs and tired silence. When I arrived, he had a folder in front of him. "It is done," Martin said. "Nash is removed. The board is stabilizing." He slid a document across the table. "Purchase agreement. Original terms." I signed. A week ago, that would have been all I wanted. I did not pick it up. Martin's eyes narrowed. "Dana, you said if I removed him." "I said I wanted the company," I replied. "I did not say I would pay full price for a company in public chaos." "Chaos," he repeated. "Your supply chain is paused," I said. Harbor Line stopped bearings. Tidemark stopped controllers. Coast Safe will not test units for months. Martin went still. "How do you know?" "Because I hold the contracts," I said. "I secured exclusive capacity when I realized your son might burn the house down. It was insurance, not cruelty." Martin stared at the folder like it had grown teeth. "You bought my arteries." "I protected the workers from a scavenger buyer," I said. "Now I am the only buyer who can restart production quickly." He swallowed. "What do you want now?" I placed a thinner document on the table. "New valuation. 60% of the original. It is the fair number for a distressed asset with halted shipments." He read, jaw tight. "This is brutal." "It is accurate," I said. "And it includes a retention clause for your full workforce for 18 months. No mass cuts, no strip and flip. I am not Ironcrest." Martin closed his eyes, then opened them and signed. "You are a hard woman, Dana Cross." "I am a chief executive," I replied. "Hard comes with the job." The transition moved fast. Vendors restarted the moment my signatures hit their inboxes. Coast Safe reopened testing slots because I owned the calendar. The factory lights stayed on. On Wednesday, my security dashboard pinged. "Lobby access attempt. Badge rejected." The camera feed showed Nash at the turnstiles slapping his old badge against the reader like anger could rewrite a system. He marched to the desk and demanded entry. "You are not in the system," the guard said. "I own this place," Nash snapped. "Sterling Gate owns it," the guard replied. "And your name is not on the visitor list." My attorney Lena arrived with an envelope and slid it across the counter. "Notice of removal," she said. "Restraining order. And notice that New Wave Systems Advisory has been referred to the district attorney." Nash laughed, too loud. "This is a bluff." "Police are on the way," Lena said. "Leave before the cameras get a better angle." Nash looked up at the ceiling camera, searching for me. I shut off the feed. Indifference is the cleanest ending. 6 months later, I stood backstage at the Harborfront Industry Forum, white suit, keynote notes in hand. A man in a cheap polo argued with security about a loading dock badge. His lanyard read Temporary Logistics. It was Nash. He saw me and froze. He wanted a moment. I gave him none. "Excuse me," I said to security. "I am expected on stage." "Right this way, ma'am," the guard replied. I walked past Nash without turning my head. The lights hit. The applause rose. I stepped to the microphone and delivered the only sentence that mattered. "Good morning. Let us get to work."